was young, I remember very clearly going into the room where we all slept, because we didn't have a lot of money, so we all slept in the same room. But we saved to get a different house. I don't remember how old I was, and I don't remember how old I could have been. I don't remember who was there or what was there. All I remember is I was so afraid of bugs. The house, its walls were thin, it had a lot of holes in it, and a lot of ways for them to, crawl inside. I'd wake up sometimes and have bugs crawling on me, or wake up sometimes and see just ants everywhere. And I remember at night walking through the house in the dark and turning on the lights, and there would be dozens of cockroaches. There'd be grasshoppers and beetles, and it instilled in me a great fear of bugs and just parasites in general. We would always wake up with scabs on our legs and bug bites all over us. I sort of found comfort in the fly swatter that we had, because it was my only defense in my tiny little body to fight these things that I felt were trying to hurt me or get inside of me. But I remember one time I went into that room and I passed by our huge bookcases and I looked at the wall, and on it I saw a giant spider, bigger than any other spider I'd ever seen. It was like a tarantula. In my mind, even back then I thought that tarantulas didn't live in North America, let alone North Carolina. So I looked at it in fear, this wriggling black mass. And I went to get the fly swatter because that's the only thing I knew could fight these giant creatures, these evil creatures. When I came back, this spider was gone. And from then on, I was always so afraid that it would come back. This huge spider that no one would ever believe was real. I remember I told my parents then every time they saw a large bug, but nothing close to the size of that spider in the house, they would call it my friend, because my giant spider that I told them about never existed. It wasn't until we finally moved out of that house that I could sleep easier, knowing that this giant spider could never get me, never hurt me. But I feel like sometimes inside of me and inside of my brain, it's like this spider never left. I've been thinking a lot recently about things happening in someone's life that color and build character and build layers into sort of like the fabric that is your life. And I've been thinking a lot about how every bad thing that happens is often a hole in the fabric. And you need to stitch it up. But the problem is, stitching takes time. And the holes just keep appearing and getting bigger until you stitch them up. Just like, how could it be possible to have this many bad things happen in a row and me not to fully rip apart and crumble? How could I ever have enough thread or comfort or processing ability to actually cover up the deep wounds inside my mind? I am currently sitting on my car in the parking lot to a library in front of a fence. And all I can think about right now is just the never-ending cycle of me slowly getting better, recognizing I'm getting better, and then having an avalanche of horrible things bring me down to the level that I'm always at. I feel like when we say depression, it has become so medicalized to the point where it doesn't even feel like a thing that happens to you. It just feels like a collection of symptoms that people are checking off. And I always thought about it like that. I always thought about it, once I get rid of the sadness, once I get rid of the tiredness, once I get rid of the feeling of not being myself, then I'll be better. Because those are all different things. Those are all the symptoms that I need to get rid of. Because I was focused on getting rid of them, I left the actual darkness in my stomach and in my chest and in my throat for it to grow and fester and become stronger, because the more I ignored it and attacked what it did instead of what it was, the more time it had to tear me apart. Sometimes things happen. Awful things. Things that are uniquely horrible. The kind of thing that when you hear someone tell you happened to them, the only thing you could do is kind of just stare slack-jawed. Because how is it possible that something this awful happened and continues to happen? It's the type of thing you see in movies that's like the character's big, sad moment. This has happened to me so much and for so long, and I've always been alone in dealing with it. I think the funny thing about that is that I refused, and honestly, a lot of the time continue to refuse, that anyone will show me any kindness or any support without me doing something for them in return. I see everything as transactional, except when I'm the one giving someone something, in which I'm like, oh, it's fine, I got you. I'll just do this big task for you because you're feeling bad, and you should have the time and space to heal. And I give that support and leeway to people. And then when people want to give it to me, I'm like what? What kind of like system is this? Where I look at people as things to help, as people to help. And I love helping and talking to my friends and talking to people and trying to make their life a little better, because God knows life is so hard. But then the second that they want to do the same with me, I'm like, no, you actually hate me, I think, because people who have shown me kindness in the past or support have always done it in a way to control me, to manipulate me. But earlier this year, I realized that I needed to do something that I never allowed myself to do. And that is, when I'm sad or when I feel negative, let myself be that way. Don't hide from it in irony or my phone or anything of the sort. I just need to let myself be sad. And all I know is that the one thing I'm more thankful for than anything is the fact that I can let myself be sad. And I can let myself be angry. But I finally have people who, when I'm with them, I feel like I am with a supportive group of friends. I've learned trust. I have learned that when I'm somewhere with the smiling faces of people who I love, or the embrace of kindness, that I can also let myself be happy and let myself be held. And I think for the first time in my life, the spider is starting to leave.